Hey, everybody. This is Dominic DeAngelo of adfreeshows.com, and I have a special adfreeshows.com interview with today. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm happy to have with me here none other than Jesse, the body, the mind, the former governor, and now the substacker, Ventura. How are you, Jesse? Good to see you, man.
I'm doing well. And to irritate all Democrats and Republicans, if I could ask a favor of you,
Yes, absolutely.
please refer to me with my title as governor,
Governor, I like that.
because Democrats and Republicans hate to hear that the most.
Yeah.
Because it reminds them of what I did back in '98 when I beat both parties in Minnesota.
Holy smoke. Does it now? It's crazy to think when I was telling you off air, I was listening to your guys' latest podcast episode that you do on Substack. And you were talking about being the governor and all that. Does it feel like 25 years ago almost?
Well, no, because it isn't 25. It's a little over 20.
Oh,
I'm going to have fun with you.
Oh, okay.
Don't make me older than I already am.
See, for some reason,
well, actually, you're correct. The election, now that you mention it, it was the election of '98. So it would have been.
That's where I was thinking.
Yeah, it would have been 25 years ago this fall. So I stand corrected. I didn't realize that. Yeah, it is 25 years ago this fall that we made the run. And, the interesting thing about it was how the national media didn't really cover what had occurred.
No.
They covered it in the fact that I won, but they didn't cover how we did it.
Right.
And they never covered thoroughly how I only raised $300,000 to become governor. That's all I raised. And they didn't cover how at the primary I was only polling 8 to 9%. And the moment I was let in, because we had major party status, which we're fighting in Minnesota now, they're trying to up it to 10% to be major party, which if that occurs, I could have never been governor. So that's why they're doing it.
Right.
So that they don't have to face another Jesse Ventura upset. Because I was only polling 8 to 9% at the primary, but I was allowed in the debates because we had major party status. And so in the debates, I started the meteoric rise in 7 weeks and won because I was allowed to debate them. And I'll give you the key. I didn't debate my two opponents. I didn't even say them by name.
Yeah.
I debated their two political parties because I said, these guys are nothing but puppets.
Right.
I said, when you're up here, you have to debate the persons that are holding the strings to the puppet. And that is the Democratic and Republican parties. These are nothing but puppets.
Right. And I align so much with you politically in certain ways where it's just like both parties are kind of out for themselves. I'm always goes by that George Carlin bit, like it's one big party and you ain't invited kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And do you feel like a lot of the country is kind of getting wiser to that notion of it? Or where do you kind of lay on that?
Well, they certainly are, but the problem is they're not given a viable alternative because the two parties control the system. So right now, they state 60% or no, 40% or more of Americans say they're independent.
Right. They're
not a party of the two parties. It's the old cliche that Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead had a great quote. He said, when you're made to pick the lesser of two evils, it still means you're picking evil.
Right.
And that's essentially what you got here, is that 40 to 50% of us, if given a third alternative, would probably take it. But we don't have that opportunity to do it because they control the system. They decide, well, your classic example, now this probably goes, you're pretty young. This goes back to the 90s when Ross Perot got in as the third party candidate for president. He got just a shade under 20% of the vote.
Right.
That was 1 out of 5 votes. 4 years later, the Dems and Repubs banned him from the debates. They wouldn't allow him in. And let me tell you how it went down. It was Clinton against Dole. Clinton didn't want debates because he was so far ahead. Debates weren't going to help him. Dole felt that, but Clinton felt that Perot would erode from the Republican base because of his economic policy.
Mm-hmm.
So neither one of them wanted Perot in the debate, so they cut a deal because the National Debate Committee is headed by former heads of the two parties. They cut a deal to leave Perot out, and in turn, there's normally 3 presidential debates and 1 VP.
Yeah.
That year, they only had 2 presidential debates. See, Clinton got his way on that. They eliminated debate. If you eliminate Perot, we eliminate a debate. See, that's the deal they cut.
Wow.
And so they did that. And guess what else they did that year?
What?
The national debates were, by design, were held on the same night as the World Series.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Are you serious?
Now, what should people watch? Well, they should watch the debates.
Sure, yeah.
But let's be in reality. If given the debates or the World Series, 70% of Americans are going to watch the World Series.
And I think that was with the Yankees, too, if I'm not
mistaken.
mistaken.
Might have been. I don't recall. I can't recall the teams.
I can't either, but I think
all of that was done by design. So, it was done completely. That was Dole's trade-off for Clinton getting Dole to eliminate Perot from the debates in 96 after Perot got 1 out of 5 votes.
That's
in
wild.
1992. One out of 5.
That's just
20%.
Insane. And I remember Perot too. I was 92. I was what, 7, 6? But I remember him being a viable candidate even at that age. So that really stands out to how much power, strength he kind of had at that or momentum, I guess.
We ended up leaving the Reform Party with Perot because later I found out through dealings with them, they truly didn't want to make a third party. It was all about Perot.
Was it really?
And when it came to, they didn't like me at all because when I won, it shifted all the focus from Perot to me.
Yeah.
Because I had won. I was this third party. I remember who was it? Dan Rather, one of them on national news, said me winning was the equivalent of Fidel Castro riding down from the Rocky Mountains on a camel. Something like that. He made some crazy statement like that. That's how shocking this is.
Yeah.
And I remember one story that day of the election. I'm good friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and at the time he was still married to Maria Shriver, and Maria was a great reporter, I think, with NBC.
Yeah.
And so Maria called me the morning of the election, and she said, "Jesse, can I have the exclusive tonight with you?" I said, "Of course you can, Maria. Absolutely. I'll hold out for you." And the story, because I heard it, she went back to NBC and told them at the production meeting, "I got Ventura." And all of them with Tom, or I forget their main guy back then, they all turned and said, "Oh, that's great, Maria, but we're not going to interview any of the losers." And so all of a sudden, Jesse Ventura won. And all of a sudden, now NBC, I was at the top of the list.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to do the interview with their top guy. I forget who it was. It wasn't Dan Rather. He was CBS.
Was it
Tom Brokaw?
Yeah.
Brokaw.
Yeah.
They wanted me to do it with Brokaw. I refused. I said, no. I made a deal with Maria Shriver. I said, that's the only person I'll do an interview with you people. So what they ended up doing, Maria started the interview and then she gave it over to Brokaw.
Wow.
With the politics of NBC, because Brokaw was the big gun.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I laughed about it because, oh no, we're not going to interview any losers tonight. And then all of a sudden they were stuck. Oh my God, Jesse Ventura won. And there's Maria sitting back in the corner like a Cheshire cat, I hope. After she delivered the message, "Hey, I got Jesse.
I tried." It was very Truman defeats Dewey.
So, that, and the greatest thing that happened that night was I got up and when we realized I was going to win, I got up and I quoted my hero, Muhammad Ali, that night.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that many years ago when I was a little kid, I listened on the radio when no one gave Muhammad a chance against Sonny Liston. I was the only kid in the neighborhood that said, then Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
Cassius is going to win. He hadn't changed to Muhammad Ali yet. And I'll never forget sitting by the radio, because you had to listen on the radio in those days. And my dad and my family, we'd be huddled by the radio, getting the blow by blow. And when Cassius Muhammad won that night, and he said, "We shocked the world," that was the first person I thought of that night. And I said, "We shocked the world." And I told the story of Cassius beating Liston as a kid. Well, you know what happened out of that? Harvey McKay, a big-time businessman in Minnesota, I'm in the transition office getting ready to be governor, which is in the bowels of the Capitol. You're getting ready to go up. And on my schedule, it says Harvey McKay. And I go, "What does Harvey want?" Big business guy. 15 minutes. So Harvey walks in and he's carrying a box. And I said, "Harvey, what can I do for you?" In the basement of the Capitol. He says, "Well," he said, "first thing is probably open up the box. You got a gift there that I was given to bring to you." So I went over, opened up the box, pulled out. Here was 2 Everlast boxing gloves, which signed, "To Governor Jesse Ventura, you shocked the world, Muhammad Ali."
Wow.
Apparently, Muhammad was watching on TV that night, and he heard what I said. And so he's good friends with Harvey McKay. He got Harvey, signed the gloves, and had Harvey deliver them to me. And later it turned out I got to accompany Harvey, and I went and spent one whole day with Muhammad when he was living in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
On his farm in Michigan. I got to spend an entire day with him there. And I will tell you, that is one day that rates right up there with the day I spent with Fidel Castro.
No way. Whoa. Well,
those are 2 people who are, to say the least, are controversial, and to say the least, I would expect both of them to be friends of Jesse Ventura.
Right, yeah. Well, I gotta ask you, like, your idol was Ali, so like, and you hear this so many times, like in wrestling, like how many people were influenced by Ali, and Ali was influenced by Gorgeous George.
Wrestling.
Did you adapt a lot of his promo style in certain ways? Did you take from him? No. Yeah.
No, I just probably adapted from him at a very young age the ability to be arrogant if you believe in yourself.
Yeah. That's the way to do it, though.
If you have confidence in yourself, then confidence and in and of itself can be a bit of an arrogant.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I learned from Ali. And I learned from Ali the greatest thing. And that is, above and beyond anything, be a man of your convictions.
Yeah.
That's what I learned from Muhammad Ali, because he wouldn't go into the military and go to Vietnam. I'm a Vietnam veteran. And I've been asked many times, how can you your hero be a draft dodger? And I go, easy, because what he believed in, he believed so much, he was willing to go to prison for his belief.
Right.
There's a big difference between Ali and Donald Trump. Donald Trump's dad bought his way out of it.
Exactly.
Donald Trump wouldn't have gone to prison for not going.
Oh, no way.
Muhammad Ali was standing up for all Black people in America who were being sent to Vietnam by the droves. And as he said, we're not even free in our own country. Why am I going to go over to Asia and fight the Chinese or Asian people when I'm not even free here?
Right.
And like his famous quote, people have asked me if I've ever used the N-word. And I have to say, yes, I have, in quoting Muhammad Ali. When Muhammad said, "Ain't no Viet Cong ever called me the N-word." And I'll just use that because it's a word you shouldn't use no matter what.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we all know. And like Muhammad said, "Ain't no Viet Cong ever called me that," but you can bet plenty of people in the United States have.
Yeah, right. 100%. And it's crazy to think too.
That's why.
Right.
That's why he's my hero, because he was a man of conviction who stood up for what he believed in and was willing to pay the price for it. He was not going to submit, and he wasn't going to be a standard bearer for all the other young black men of the world to go fight this war we shouldn't have been fighting in the first place. By the way, you guys want an end to the war in Ukraine? Jesse's come up with it. I came up with it yesterday. Came to me. If they brought me in to negotiate, here's how I'd end Ukraine. The Russians pull out of Ukraine, and we will pull out of Syria because we have a base in Syria. Right. Why do we have a base in Syria? They don't want us there.
There's no reason.
We'll pull out of Syria, and we'll pull out of Africa. Because if people don't know, we're also fighting in Africa right now.
Right.
And the American people don't even know it, that our military is fighting in Africa right now. They keep all that hidden.
They do. They do. They
now there's my deal. If Russia pulls out of Ukraine, the U.S. will pull out of Syria and Africa.
There we go.
And you know what that'll do? That'll help bring peace to the world, won't it?
That's what we need.
And you know what that'll do to me? Get me killed.
You're right. That's it. It's true.
No, I say that not laughing.
No, I know.
If you go back to the 60s, everybody that stood for peace back in the 60s was killed with a bullet.
I mean,
let's go down the list.
MLK,
President
Malcolm X.
John F. Kennedy.
Yep.
His brother Robert F. Kennedy. Dr. Martin Luther King. Yep. Malcolm X. And if we cheat a little bit, we can go all the way to John Lennon and the Beatles.
Yep. It's very true. And it's like, especially
and all stood for peace and all died from a bullet. Now, what kind of deal is that?
It's a whole.
And they want us to believe that all this has happenstance. Here we go. We'll get into conspiracy theory a little. They want to believe that all these killings were all lone nuts.
Yep.
I had to laugh. That killing that just happened down in Haiti.
I think I heard something.
One of the big political people got assassinated in Haiti. So they call up the United States to come down and investigate it. I immediately went public and said, what would they call us for? The only thing we've ever had are lone nuts.
Right. That's it.
If a lone nut didn't kill this guy, we have no experience in anything else. Because the only people killed in the United States of America by assassins are always lone nuts. And do you notice how they teach you all three of their names?
No, how?
Well, think about it. I'll ask you, what's Charles Manson's middle name?
I'm stumped. What is it? Help me out here.
Well, I'm not going to tell you, but here's the deal. He's one of the most infamous murderers in U.S. history.
100%.
But James Earl Ray, Mark David Chapman, Lee Harvey Oswald. All of their names by three names because that gets it to the specific individual.
How about that?
With no others.
Yeah.
That's done by psychological.
Mm-hmm.
You know who I had to explain that to?
Who?
The late, great Barbara Walters.
No way.
Yeah. I was on The View when Barbara was on there, and I'd written my book about the murder of Kennedy. And so we were talking after, and I showed her that. I said, well, Barbara, why is it that they teach you when it's a lone nut? You learn all three of their names. And I did the same thing. I said, what's Charles Manson's middle name? She didn't know, but she knew all the middle names of all those lone nut assassins.
Right, yeah.
Because you're taught that.
You are, yeah, exactly.
You're conditioned for that.
Geez, I knew Lee Harvey.
Propaganda.
I know, yeah. I knew Lee Harvey Oswald when I was like probably 5 or 6.
And you know what I want? You know what I've been advocating for?
What?
Okay, they just cleared the slate with those two men that sat in prison for all those years allegedly for killing Malcolm X. And now they've said they didn't do it, and they freed them, right?
Right.
Cleared their names. It is time now to clear Lee Harvey Oswald's name.
It's nuts. It's just
No.
crazy. All the
And why are they still, they're all up in arms over these documents. Trump's documents, Biden's documents, Pence's documents. And for since 2017, they've been breaking their own law. 2017, they passed a law that all the JFK documents would be released by then. It's 5 years past it, and they're still breaking the law.
Yep.
Why don't they release us those documents first? After all, they've been sitting on them for nearly 60 years.
We've been hearing about it too, which is like, geez, oh man, it's like, holy crap. Let's get to it. Geez.
Well, obvious. Well, and that's my argument. The lone nut Lee Oswald, if he truly was what they told us he was, why would there be anything locked up for national security?
Yeah. Right.
Why would there be any documents on this guy?
Yeah.
There wouldn't be. See, you got to apply something. You need to understand that you, my friend, are in the presence of a genius right now.
I get
You
it.
want to know why?
Why?
I tell this to my son Tyrell all the time, and I make him laugh. I say, Ty, you're in the presence of a genius. And Ty goes, oh, come on, Dad, why are you a genius? I say, here's why. Because I have something that's called common sense. And common sense is so rare today that if you do possess common sense, that elevates you to genius status.
Right, it does.
And I have common sense.
Yeah.
So I'm a genius.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
Yeah, because it's so rare. You don't see no one with common sense see it today.
Especially on mainstream television or social media. You definitely don't see it there. You definitely don't.
That's why I'm banned. You know, that's why I had to work for Russian TV. Yeah. Because mainstream media won't let me on.
It's such a head scratcher.
I lost my job at MSNBC.
Right. Yeah.
Because I didn't support the invasion of Iraq.
Yeah.
And that's a question I have. Maybe you can answer it for me today. What is the difference between Russia's invasion of Ukraine and our invasion of Iraq?
From a perspective, I don't think there is much of one, because I think the United States is all in on the game with it. It's like a concerted effort to do it.
Okay. Isn't the invasion of Ukraine for regime change?
But
yes. You mean Russia wants to annex Ukraine and a regime change, make them back to Russia. We invaded Iraq for a regime change.
Yes.
We wanted Saddam out. We were willing to lie about it, weapons of mass destruction. There was none of that. He wasn't tied to Al-Qaeda. In fact, because of our invasion, it created ISIS.
Right.
So that worked to the advantage of the military-industrial complex, because now we got other wars to fight with ISIS, which we created when we went into Iraq.
Right.
I lost my job because I wouldn't support the invasion of Iraq. So did Phil Donahue. I'm supposed to have Rachel Maddow's slot on MSNBC.
Oh, man.
They signed me to a 3-year contract, a lot of money, never put me on the air, paid me all 3 years, but I couldn't talk about it and I couldn't do any news shows because I was under contract for 3 years. And who owned MSNBC then? Microsoft. Okay. That's what the MS stands for. Who owned NBC then? General Electric. What was General Electric? A huge war contractor.
Right.
They stood to make a ton of money in Iraq. They're not going to have their featured guy on evening news speaking out against their money-making machine.
Exactly.
So Jesse loses his job. Jesse's then banned from national television, and Jesse has to go work for the Russians.
Right. Okay, so I have some classic wrestling questions here for you.
Okay.
Pittsburgh coming up.
Yeah. I'm going to be there. And let me plug it. I'm coming to Steel City Con.
Yep.
I'll be there. 2 full days. I don't do these things very often. I want people to know that. So I welcome everybody to come out. Don't bring COVID with you.
Don't do that.
I'm not going to shake nobody's hand if you think you're going to do that. That's out. but you certainly can take a picture with the proper distancing. The only other thing I got going against me, you know, I went out in COVID and I got me a distancing dog.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I walk with him on a leash and he keeps everybody 10 feet from me. He's a social distancing dog.
You know, that's the way to do it.
Well, no, he's a Belgian Malinois, a state-trained protection dog. Whoa, is he tough.
Holy smokes, I bet.
Oh, yeah, and everybody, I tell him he's a social distancing dog. You don't get within 10 feet of me to give me your COVID crap.
Right, right.
This dog keeps, and I actually took him down to George Floyd Square.
Did you?
And the people loved it.
Wow.
All the people, they were very respectful. I said, this is my social distancing dog.
Yeah.
And they'd all stand back. They'd wave at me. Governor, how you doing? I'm doing great. No, see, I don't have no security no more. So I got to have this dog.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that does it well. They got a good friend there too in that.
But unfortunately, he won't be accompanying me on this trip. So I'll have to rely on the building security on this one. But anyway, people, come on out. There's going to be a ton of celebrities out there.
Oh, there
a
is.
lot of celebrities I'm looking forward to meeting.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot.
One of them's Richard Dreyfuss, right?
Yeah, he's in. Yeah. You know.
Well, Richard Dreyfuss starred in one of my top 5 films of all time.
Which one? I like Jaws.
Jaws.
Yeah, Jaws.
And I want to meet Richard because, being an old Navy fraud man, I have 2 authentic Jaws stories to tell him.
Oh,
which I think he'll find entertaining.
Oh, he'll definitely will.
Absolutely. No, this was my encounters. I've had encounters with Jaws.
Yeah, I bet. Holy crap. Holy
well,
crap.
when you're a frog man in the Pacific Ocean, oh yeah,
you run into it.
Well, yeah, you're going to have a few encounters, and we used to operate in Southeast Asia off a submarine that we could lock 20 swimmers out of, and one of the encounters happened over there.
No way! Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Yeah, I bet that's a hell of a story. He'll love to hear.
And I want to be able to sit down with Richard.
Yeah,
you know, because Jaws is one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah,
I love that film.
So
and you know, so him being there's exciting. You know, at another one of these, you know who I got to meet?
Who?
And I'll see if you even know who he is.
Okay.
Andy Robinson.
Oh man, I like to consider myself an old soul, but I don't even know. I don't know who it is.
Well, you know who, and it was a thrill for me because Andy Robinson, when I came back from Southeast Asia after my first tour in the SEALs, right?
Yep.
This film had broken in the theaters. It was every one of us went and saw this film, and Andy Robinson was the major bad guy.
Okay.
It's the original Dirty Harry.
Whoa. Okay, so he's
Scorpio.
Scorpio. That's
Scorpio.
It. Wow. How about that? I didn't know that.
Oh God, I got to meet Andy Robinson, and get this, I got him to sign me 2 pictures. I have them at home.
That's fantastic.
Because that was at a time in my life where Dirty Harry.
He's such a great.
We had all come back from overseas, and we all kind of looked at ourselves as the United States Navy Dirty Harrys.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorite. I love Clint, so I'm a sucker for all his movies.
My favorite quote when he's arguing and they're going to let Scorpio go, and he goes, "Well, then the law's wrong." Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've run into a couple occasions in life where the law is wrong.
Oh, definitely that. You know, definitely. I love him casually eating the hot dog with the Magnum. That's my favorite.
Oh,
scene.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
My favorite scene. So Pittsburgh, it's Bruno territory, obviously.
Sure.
And, yeah.
One of my greatest thrills. I wrestled Bruno in Scranton.
Oh, did you? Okay. What?
Yep. The only time I ever wrestled Bruno.
Yeah.
And I cherish that night.
I bet.
I got to wrestle the great Bruno Sammartino, man.
Yeah.
Nobody can take that from me. Only once. Then I got to broadcast with him.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
And unfortunately, I got him fired.
Oh, is it really?
I didn't do it. I wanted to keep Bruno.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you why. Bruno was the perfect foil for me.
Yeah, right.
Bruno was so, call it in his own way, naive to my style that, I'd say things and he would give answers that you couldn't write them.
Yeah.
How good they were.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember we're getting ready for WrestleMania. And so I threw Bruno, I says, Bruno, I said, I heard you're taking the Hound to WrestleMania. And Bruno looks at me on the mic, goes, the Hound? What's the Hound? I go, the Greyhound bus. Here's Bruno's answer. Well, Jesse, bus, train, or plane, all I know is I'm going to be there.
That's a great idea.
I mean, he was so bad, he was good.
Yeah.
And he didn't know how good he was being bad.
Yeah. It all balances out. And I tell
you, you want to hear another Bruno story?
Absolutely.
They come up to me one day and Vince starts drug testing. So the guy comes up to me and wants me to go in the bathroom and give a urine sample. I looked at the guy, says, and I was far enough. I had done Predator by now.
Sure.
I had Vince dealing with my agent now.
Yeah.
So the guy comes up and tells me I got to go to the bathroom and give a urine sample. I said, I said, there's nothing in my contract with Vince that says I'm to be drug tested.
Right.
I said, until that's in my contract, I'm not taking a piss test. And I said, take and go right to Vince and tell Vince if he has a problem to come and talk to me directly. Okay?
Yeah.
Never heard another thing about it. Never took the drug test. They didn't bother me. Next morning, we're switching locations and I'm out in front of the hotel with Bruno. And I thought, oh boy, this is going to be good. So I come over to Bruno. I go, hey, Bruno. I said, did you take that drug test yesterday? And Bruno looks at me and goes, well, of course, everybody had to. I said, are you kidding me? I said, you are the great Bruno Sammartino, and you're going to subject yourself to proving that you don't use drugs? I said, Bruno, you should be ashamed from taking that test. How dare anyone question your integrity?
Right.
Oh, my God. Bruno went nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I ain't never doing that again. Oh, God. I lit a torch under Bruno. I guarantee you Bruno never took another drug test.
Oh, when you were telling me that story,
I couldn't believe they subjected Bruno Sammartino to a drug test.
Right.
Come on.
You talk about a man of conviction, too. That was something he was just all natural, man. It was just like that's.
Well, and it's Bruno.
Yeah.
Bruno wouldn't know a drug if they came up and showed it to him.
Right. 100%.
In fact, if you walked up to Bruno and showed him white powder, he'd say, oh, you're cleaning the sink?
Right. What is this? A powdered sugar? I don't do powdered sugar.
No, he'd think it's what, Comet?
Yeah, right.
Could clean the sink, huh? I mean, that was Bruno. That's why I made fun of it. I said, they're going to, of all the people to drug test, you're going to drug test Bruno?
It makes zero sense. I know.
I could have assured them they're going to get a negative.
I live in Pittsburgh. I'm like Italian. So Bruno was my dad's guy growing up. And so it was 100%. Like I've always had just a strong connection with Bruno. I got to meet him.
Like I said, I only wrestled him in Scranton, Pennsylvania, but I still remember, I'll always remember the one time I got in the ring with the legend himself. He was the East Coast legend, man.
Right. Yeah.
And, and he lost to my hero.
Yeah. Ivan?
No, Superstar Graham.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. That makes plenty. Yeah.
And who better?
Yeah.
Who better?
I know.
Bruno couldn't have lost to a better guy than Superstar Billy Graham. Because without Superstar Billy Graham, there would not be Jesse the Body Ventura. There would not be Hulk Hogan. There would not be any of those people you yelled for, because Superstar was the hero to all of us.
Right.
Bar none. Superstar Graham was the person. I had just gotten out of the Navy. I came home on leave. I didn't have nothing to do one night, and all my friends were busy. So I said, I'm going to go watch wrestling.
Yeah.
Now, here I am, a former Navy SEAL, 2 tours of Southeast Asia, got nothing to do home on leave. So I went down. I remember walking up to the window to Minneapolis Auditorium, and I said to the lady, give me the best ticket you got. And she looked at me and said, are you alone? And I said, yep. She said, I got one in the front row. I said, really? And so I bought the front row ticket. So I'm down there sitting with all the nuts, in the old days of wrestling in the front row. In Minneapolis, we had Ricky the Midget. I don't know if you ever saw him, this little midget that would run around. I called him by name once because I saw his name was Ricky. From that day on, I was his hero.
No way.
Because I recognized him by name and called him by his name. And, I was sitting on the apron. He was all upset. And I said, Ricky, cool it. Everything will be okay. And we were the bad guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, that night I was sitting in the front row, and superstar Billy Graham was in the semifinal that night. I don't remember who he wrestled, but he walked out to the ring, and I looked, and he actually looked at me. I caught his eye sitting ringside. And I looked him up and down. I watched the whole thing, and it was right there. I thought, God, maybe this is what I ought to try to do. Maybe this is it. Then I went to college, and I out with a bunch of weightlifters at college and found out they were all Graham fans. So we started going to the auditorium, and as typical college kids, cheering for the bad guy, superstar.
Yeah, right.
I took my dad with me once because we had an extra ticket. And my dad came home that night, and he grabbed me. He says, you better be careful down there. I said, what do you mean, Dad? He said, you get those fans so riled up, somebody's going to come and glom you over the head.
Right.
Because, I'd be down there cheering for Graham and all that.
You're going to be like,
and the thing was, we looked like twin brothers.
Yeah.
I ended up dyeing my hair blonde.
Yeah.
And Graham and I looked like twin brothers when we both had the bleach blonde hair.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And then I got to meet him. I was training at the 7th Street gym, and I walked in one Saturday morning, and the owner of the gym said, hey, your hero's in the back. I said, what? He said, superstar. He's back there working out. So I got the opportunity to go back, talk with him. I told him I was training then, and he gave me great advice. He said, don't break in here in Minneapolis. He said, go out to a small place first. You got to learn the business.
Yeah, because AWA was one of the top promotions.
Oh, they were right in the top 3.
Right.
If you made it to the AWA, because what the great thing about the AWA was?
What's that?
Schedule. The schedule.
That's what I hear. Yes.
Oh, you'd have days off. You could have a family in the AWA.
Isn't that why Bockwinkel stayed there for so long?
Yeah. Well, you only worked about 2 or 3 times a week usually.
Yeah.
12 times a month.
You can't beat that
14 times but they were all major markets.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had 12 to 14 premium markets. So you might work a day and get 2 days off.
Right.
There was a time, and there's guys in wrestling that'll destroy my record. But my personal record, do you know how many matches I wrestled in a row?
How many is it?
My personal record, 63 consecutive nights in a row.
My God.
Without a day off.
Nowadays, that was
when I had left Kansas City and was in my second territory, Portland, where I might brag and add, I had only been in the business 9 months when Don Owen put the Northwest heavyweight title on me and said, make me money.
Yeah.
I hadn't even been in the business for 1 year, 9 months.
That's fantastic.
And you know who was responsible for it? Snuka.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, God, yeah. Jimmy Snuka had the title.
Yeah.
And he was going to drop it to me. I was the villain. And they got cold feet that night. And they weren't going to do it when we had the big meeting.
Yeah.
And Jimmy jumped up in the meeting, says, in Jimmy's typical Snuka language, no, brah, I'm dropping it to the brah tonight. He said, I can't make no money with the title. I make money trying to get the title.
It's the thrill of the chase.
That's right. And he was dead on.
Yes.
People weren't going to come and see Jesse Ventura take the title from Jimmy Snuka. They wanted to pay to see Jimmy Snuka kick Jesse Ventura's ass.
Right. Right.
Well, in order to do that, Jesse has to have the belt.
And
Jimmy was business, baby. That's one thing I'll tell you about brother Snuka. when it came to business, he didn't have an ego. Jimmy liked money.
That's it.
And
That's
Jimmy
it.
knew what would make him money.
Thrill of the chase, no doubt about it.
I hate to wind this down, but we've been going a while.
We've been going for a bit. Yes.
Yeah, and I got a wife waiting out in the other room.
Oh, okay. So yeah, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
I wanted to get your thoughts real quick. Like
Sure.
you mentioned, politic-wise, everything like that. You earlier, I know, probably about maybe when you were on with Jericho, I think you mentioned something about maybe going the 2024. Do you have any plans for it coming up or anything like that? Because
Well, I'm here. Do I have anything in place? No. I want people to know Jesse Ventura is simply a citizen.
Yeah.
I don't have a staff. I don't have gophers. I don't have people hired, but I'm here.
Yeah.
And if, say, the Forward Party with Andrew Yang, if they approached me to be a candidate, I will say this. I would have to give if it was reasonable, if it was the Libertarians, the Forward Party, if they had if they had the ability to win, which means they have to have ballot access in enough states to become the president.
Right.
I would have to give it its due consideration, wouldn't I?
Oh, yeah.
Because as I look at my country today, I'm still a patriotic individual. And the one thing that always will rise up in the back of my mind is when it comes to that is this. It'll come down to if it's feasible. I'll always ask myself this question. If not you, then who?
Right. Right.
So until I see the who, I'll always give it its due consideration. And right now, I'm seeing a rematch between Trump and Biden. I don't want, well, in typical Jesse mode, I could whip either one of them.
Absolutely.
And I could whip them both at the same time.
On the debate table or in the ring for sure.
All I need is the ballot access and let me in the debates.
Yep.
Then the question comes, at my age, do I really want to finish my life doing that shit?
Exactly. Getting mixed up with that. Ugh. I can't, geez, Jesse, I can't blame you there.
But then again, there it is. But if not you, then who?
Then who? Then who?
And if you're a person like me, I sometimes tend to believe in destiny.
I do too.
And I think that if it's destined for Jesse to run for president, then something will happen.
Yeah.
That will make that happen.
That'll make it happen.
And if it doesn't happen, then it wasn't destiny.
That's it.
Fair enough?
Yeah, absolutely fair enough.
Okay.
Plug your Substack real quick too. Your Substack is great.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's a great show. It's called Die First, Then Quit, which is an old SEAL slogan that's on the training wall. Die first, then quit. Yeah. But for me, here's the meaning. What this means is that I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to keep being a shit disturber. I'm going to keep doing what I do until I die. The only thing that's going to stop me talking is when I die. Then I'll quit.
Hell yeah.
But until I die, they're going to have to put up with my criticism.
That's the way to do it. You got to speak truth to power, Jesse. You do a great job at it too.
I try.
That's it. That's all you can do.
Well, okay, cool. Man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jesse. It's been a pleasure.
All right. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
All right. All the best to you. Bye-bye.